install underground cables and conduit and other equipment within the public way on Cedar Hill Street near D'Angelo Drive. We had the public hearing, last week on, you guys want to sit in the well there and then? So as I started to say, we had the public hearing on July 24th. Ken Bryan appeared on behalf of the applicant Cambridge Network Solution Lightpath. They're in Chelmsford. Jeff Harrington is the representative. There was no questions from the public. No one spoke in opposition. We did have a couple councilors that asked questions, Councilor Doucette and Councilor Dumas. I'm going to read, I think it's worthwhile for us to refresh our memories, and then if the public is listening at home, the work to be performed. Install proposed NS risers on the existing utility pole number 23 across from 72 Cedar Hill Street, and route fiber cable down the pole and trench, and install approximately 315 feet of 1 4-inch conduit along the north side of Cedar Hill Street to the intersection of D'Angelo Drive, where proposed 36 by 36 by 36 CNS a handhole is being installed. From the handhole, the trench is installed in 2 directions. I had to figure this out yesterday afternoon. I had to get out of my car to do this one. Approximately 2 directions, 140 feet, 1-inch conduit along the south side of Cedar Hill Road Street to the utility pole number 20. That was quite obvious. I had no trouble finding pole 20, where a proposed CNS riser is being installed. Number 2, approximately 181 feet of conduit on the south side of D'Angelo Drive to propose a proposed utility pole adjacent to the CSX tracks, where a proposed CNS riser is being installed as well. So that's kind of the project right now in a nutshell. But you guys want to add a few things that I didn't mention there, and probably repeat some of the things you maybe mentioned at the public hearing, and then we'll get moving.
I can start. I'd be happy to. My name is Keenan Brin. I'm with the company Network Building and Construction. We're at 100 Apollo Drive in Chelmsford. I was the one that filed this grant of location with the city clerk. I'm joined tonight by Jeff Harrington, who's really the technical brains behind the project, and he can address maybe more of the specific questions of technical nature. But essentially, we provided that description when I filed the application. It's essentially, we're looking to install a fiber conduit underground, just the way you described it there. And again, we're trying to get this done in conjunction with the paving out there. We're trying to get this done hopefully this month and see if we can move ahead with it. So Jeff can certainly, if you had any specific technical questions, he might be able to maybe take those and maybe expand a little bit on what we've submitted. Okay? Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, some of my colleagues on the committee might have a few more questions, and the other colleagues. We'll start with Councilor Brown. Do you have any questions or comments?
Thank you, Chairman Landers. So I reviewed the packet and the work to be performed as you just read, and also the notes from our city engineer, Mr. DePercio. And so I was just wondering if the applicant has had a chance to see the questions or comments that the city engineer had brought up. Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Similar question as well. I have no issues with this proposal as long as you adhere to what the city engineer has proposed in the conditions. And during the public hearing, you were well aware of the situation with the road and working with the city. And I think that working with the city engineer as well going forward, the project will get done in a timely manner So I really didn't have any questions, Mr. Chair,
very
just
good.
sticking to those conditions.
Any other councilors have any questions or comments? Or yes, Councilor.
Thank you, Chair Landers. And just from the nods, did you all not receive that communication about the city engineer? So just to maybe,
I will be reading
Okay,
that.
you'll be
Yeah,
reading
we'll
that?
follow
Okay,
my-
so-
We'll follow my agenda.
okay, okay.
And they
so
were shared. Jeff Harrington.
Council Landers will read that and make sure that you receive it. Thank you.
Any other councilors? Yes.
No, I'm just here as representing Ward 3, just as long as you guys know the conditions and that the work is done before the paving. But I made that clear during the public hearing, and hopefully that will happen.
And that's certainly in our, I mean, obviously, selfishly, that's in our best interest too, to make sure we get it done prior to.
Of course.
And not only prior, just before, but we want to make sure it's done with a little leeway, everything settles in, so we don't have any imperfections on a brand-new roadway. So that's usually a requirement working under Mass DOT, because that's sort of a funded project as well.
Sure.
So we make sure we adhere to your guidelines as well as their guidelines being on the road. And that's my usually biggest concern is any settlement on the roadway.
That's all I wanted to hear. Not to sound like a broken record, but thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The only thing I would ask if the Public Services Committee would entertain suspending the rules in order to get this done, because they're kind of moving fast on Cedar Hill Road, so in the August 21st meeting, if you don't mind suspending the rules, I think it'd be beneficial.
We definitely will, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
If we want to, keep this moving. Speaking of the city engineer, DePercio, he did send us a memo, and I'm going to read that, regarding the petition of White Path for a grant of location for underground cable and conduit and other equipment, public way on Cedar Hill and D'Angelo. I offer the following for your consideration. I have reviewed the proposed application, offer the following for your consideration. Engineering Division has been working with White Path on this proposal. We do not have an issue with the grant of the location. However, the work must be done prior to the final paving of the roadway as part of the city reconstruction, which is underway at this time. The condition of approval should be that a spare conduit, I think that's important. I was talking to Kean, and then I mentioned when I moved in 54 years ago, we had underground cables, and I put conduit everywhere. And I marked them, I had a map of my land, but think I can find that now? But that's a wonderful idea to put an extra, I think, a 4-inch conduit there. And that's very good, and that would be basically, I believe, for city use.
Yes, what we'll do is, to your point, the idea, I think, the smart part of it is to not bury it underground for future and turn it up so you can see it long before I'm gone or anything else. And what we'll do is we'll designate the as-bills that we normally file with the DPW. I'm not sure if it's actually a requirement, but we normally file an as-built. And then that will show one for the city, we call it City Shadow, in some of the other towns, and then one for CNS light patch use.
Right.
And then that's deemed for your fire alarm, or really whatever you choose to do at that time.
Okay, so, and then the other comment that Tom mentioned, the conditions related to the work in the public way, including the approval of the final location of the conduit, will be covered in a future road opening permit in his office, so. And as I mentioned earlier, the engineering department, the whole Department of Public Works, they're really a good department to work with. We're all in it together, and we want everything to come out fine on Cedar Hill and D'Angelo. Plus, we want you guys to move forward, so.
So what we'll do is,
Pretty well.
no, exactly, and what we'll do is this exact document that you probably can't see, but probably got a copy of. This is sort of the plan that got us to this point through engineering. What we'll do is, once the trench is done, there's going to be a variation. You would hope that there never is, but you could have ledge, you could have all different things we talked about today. So once it's all done, then we take what's called tie points, where we take ties to fix objects with distances, and then we'll mark up this drawing. It'll be labeled as an as-built, and that as-built will be filed with the town engineer, to your point, so they have it on record as requested. And we also file it with DigSafe, so that if there's anybody that calls for any work to be done in that area, hopefully not on a brand-new road, but if they do, we'll go out and we'll mark it out with those tie points, And when we pull the cable, finally, once we pull the cable through, we always pull what's called a tone wire. It's a copper wire that emits a signal, and then that helps us find it, and we can spray paint the road accordingly. So I think from an as-built standpoint and from a protection standpoint, the plan is usually pretty rock solid.
We'll stamp that, right, Jeff?
Yeah, yeah.
Right now, these are unstamped.
It'll be a stamp, it'll be a stamp
Okay,
drawing.
very good, good point. Any other questions for any councilors? Okay, anybody desire to give me a motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Motion to approve order number 23-100-8925, petition from LightPath to install underground cable in conduit and other equipment within the public way on Cedar Hill Street near D'Angelo Drive, with also the suspension for August 21st meeting, please.
That's key, thank you very much.
you,
Okay, I
sir.
will second that motion. All in favor? 3-0. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor?
Is the 21st meeting 6:30 or 7?
8.
8 o'clock?
Yeah,
8 o'clock for that one?
8 o'clock.
Okay. You don't have to be. Yeah, sort of a respect thing, but we'll make, one of us will be here at the 21st. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Finance will start in 4 minutes.